Hey guys, back with the powder test for the 6.5 necked up to 7 PRCW, and I ran 4 powder tests, so each line is a different powder. And I started somewhere around 2,900 for each of them and ran them up quite a ways, almost to 3,000 for some of them. And so the top one up here, 4350, then 4831, then Vitavori 555, and then Reloader 22 down on the bottom. And so each of them behaved a little bit different, and depending on whether you're an F-class shooter or a bench rest shooter, might make a little bit of difference in which one you want to pick. So you look right up here at the top one, 4350, my tried and true powder that has worked well for me. It's pretty stable all the way across. There's no big jumps. I mean, it's a little bit low here and in velocity, and it comes up, but then it stays stable from pretty much right here all the way towards it's coming in. It's all pretty much on a horizontal line. So it looks really stable, looks really good, looks easy to tune, and so I'll definitely give that one a shot and do a tuner test next. Now the next one, 4831, it looks okay, where, you know, as it's down, and then it kind of comes up, and it comes in to not too bad of a spot right here, but you know, it's jumps up, but then it's down, and it's up, and it's down, and nothing's really coming in very close except for this one here. So I don't know, I'm not too impressed with it. I don't see something that's jumping out and grabbing me and saying, yeah, this is really coming in. Whereas this one here, it's so stable all the way across. I really like seeing stable. Stable means if I miss the powder, if it warms up a little bit during the day, or if it cools off a little bit during the day, I know it's not gonna blow up on me, in other words. So Vitavori triple nickel. Now it had the most velocity. I got the velocities written above the numbers here. I mean, it just packed way up here, 29, almost 3,000 feet, you know, in the same type of nodes that I was running with the other one. So it's a lot faster. But then again, I mean, if you're shooting F-class, maybe you could get away with this. I mean, this is not looking too hot to me. It's kind of opening up and down. It's kind of a node there, but I don't like the looks of it. There's nothing really jumping out and grabbing me. Now, when I got up in the higher velocities, it looked better, but the only problem is at 2952, I just wrote 52, I didn't write 29s on all of them, but anyway, 2952, it doesn't look bad. 2970 looks good. 2974, but see how it's going up and down and then up. 2995, it's like really nice, but this up and down with the hottest one, I don't understand why it's doing that. I've seen some powders do that, and my fear is that I'm going to be in a match and all of a sudden it's going to start this velocity jumping up and down, not velocity, but accuracy jumping up and down on different ones. I don't know what the reason for down, up, down is, and you know, it doesn't make any sense, even though each one is looking really accurate. But for me, as a bench rest shooter, I want stable. I want everything consistent and really nice. I don't want to see a bunch of jumping up and down. But I mean, it's worth exploring again and doing a tuner test to see how well it holds up out at 600. I should tell you to begin with, this is all done at 300 yards, the closest range to home. So it's just initial powder tests. There's nothing fine-tuned about this at all. I'm just trying to see which powder my barrel likes, and you know, everything that I'm using, the cases, the primers, the powder, the bullets, the whole 9 yards. It's all a combination thing. So you got to pick what seems to be the most stable for you. And now you get down here to Reloader 22, which I honestly thought would be the worst one, and it was the best. I mean, you look at the velocity isn't quite like some of the other ones all the way up here, but it's not bad. It's right at 2808 starting. And look at this, nice and straight and level and tight all the way up to 41. I mean, it's just really nice. And then you see 44, it starts opening up and up and up and up and up. But down here in this lower, look how sweet this is. That's what just really gets me excited. When I'm seeing a powder that is just stable as heck through the whole node. I can load anywhere in here, and then I could load right in the middle at like 30 at this one here, and it's going to be safe on either side. So if the temperature warms up during the day, I'm still fine. If it cools off, I'm fine. When I'm shooting the match thing in bench rest, you start off, your barrel's all nice and cool, and you start shooting and everything's cycling real fine. But after you've got, 3 targets to your barrel, you got 30-40 rounds to do there fairly quick. Everything starts heating up, and next thing you know, you're starting to get a heavy bolt lift and clickers and all that kind of stuff, because everything starts getting hot. So the cooler you can run, the less that'll happen to you. So I really like this one. It just really got me excited. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and work with this probably right here. I'm going to probably take that one right out and start working tuner test on that. And just for the heck of it, I'm going to go ahead and grab this really fast one over here. I'm curious just to see if I'm going to get heavy bolt lift out of this lamp powder. I don't like all this up and down stuff. It really makes me nervous. 4831, I just don't see something that I'm going to really get attracted to here. But the 4350, you look right here in this whole node, it's almost like this one down here. This one's even tighter, it's better, but it's still looking pretty stable all the way across. So when I see something stable and coming in, and then of course it jumps up, so that's the high part of the node right there. So I wouldn't want to shoot that in the middle of the summer, because it's probably gonna warm up through the day and blow up on me. But it's definitely down here in the lower end. It's got room to grow and do a tuner test and a neck tension test and a seating test on top of all of this. So I've got a long ways to go. I'm only, just getting started with it. So I found my clearance. Now I found my powders, and now I've got my nodes in my powders. So now it's time to start fine tuning these and see which one comes in the best and which one holds up over a whole match instead of just a couple of shots, And I guess I should talk a little bit about a couple of shots that I do. On all my powder tests, I always just do 2 shots. I mean, it was told to me a long time ago, mentioned Ted Larson in the past. That was one of the very first questions I had for him. I said, how do you find your powder? Everybody's talking about the right powder. And he just said, it's really simple. You shoot 2 shots. You shoot 2 shots, and you'll see a lot of vertical. And you just keep increasing the powder until you see them come together right on the same horizontal line. When the vertical goes away, then you've got your powder. So now you see I've got in my powder, and these are a little bit up, but you can see they're on the same plane. It's still side by side and in the same hole. These are all in my node. But when you got a bunch of vertical going on, that's no good. And it starts coming in, it's looking good. The only problem with this particular one is it's one little deal. The next ones, they just don't look so hot. So I don't want to see just one. I want to see multiple like this, and I want to see multiple like this. Now I know I've got a stable powder and a range that's going to hold together for me. When I see lots, I've heard all kinds of guys out there on the internet saying, oh geez, you got to go out and shoot 100 rounds to find out if your load's good. I'm like, 100 rounds? Really? Imagine if I shot 100 rounds at every one of these just to see if it's like, my God, my barrel would be all done in one test. So don't do that. Just don't do that. It only takes 2, and I've tested 4 powders here. two full grains in each powder, and I've shot 80 shots, and I've got 4. Now typically I only do this when I'm first testing a brand new chamber, so I've never shot this PRCW before, so I want to test everything and see what is the best. But right now I've fire formed 150 rounds. I did an initial powder test, I did a net clearance test, and now I've done this 4 powder test, and right now I have 300 rounds on my barrel. So that's where I'm at, you know. And the next couple of tests, I imagine I'm going to have to probably run another maybe 100 rounds to get tuner tests done on the rest of this stuff, and some neck tension stuff to see what I like, some seating depth stuff to see what I like. For a brand new barrel, a brand new chamber, a brand new brass, a brand new everything, I'm probably going to have a total of 400 rounds on that barrel when I'm happy with it and know whether or not it's going to shoot well enough for me. Now after I'm done with this barrel, everything I've learned on this barrel will translate to a brand new barrel. So the next barrel, I won't have to do all this. If I decide this is what I like, I can just grab this powder and run it up into these velocities, and I'll see where it wants to settle in, and I'll be done with that one, tuning it in less than 100 rounds, it'll be done. So that's the nice thing about staying with the same chamber and the same reamer and the same gunsmith, chambering it up the same way, is all your data will transfer. Now if you're shooting a 6.5 PRCW and then you switch over to a 7mm mag or something, well, no, it's not going to transfer over. You're going to have to start all over again. So just like when I was shooting my 284, I did all of this stuff, and so I did my 400 or 500 rounds on that one and figured all this stuff out, and it shot great, and it still shoots great. But I was just curious if I could get more velocity out of this particular chamber and keep my accuracy. And something tells me I'm going to be able to right here. And I'm hoping, as long as I can, if I can push this is 2930. That's what that's running. And so that's well over, it's about 100 and, what is it, 150 feet per second faster than my 284 was running. So it'll hold the wind a little better. If it'll hold up during a match, cycling the bolt real quick and heating everything up. If it'll hold together and I don't get a bunch of clickers messing me up, then this will definitely be worth it. So I got to test that part still, but just initial accuracy, I didn't have any heavy bolt lifts or anything with this, so I was pretty happy. But I really caution you, don't listen to the guys tell you to grab some random powder velocity and then go out and shoot 20 rounds with it, and then grab another one and shoot 20 rounds with it, and grab another one and shoot 20 rounds with it, and wait. You're just like on a fishing trip. You're not going to learn anything. You need to get in your node first and then start messing around with doing more rounds. So, you know, if I grab this one or load right in between and go out and start doing some initial testing, but still at that, I'm not going to shoot 20 round target. I'm going to probably shoot 3 to start with, make sure it's holding together, and then I'll work my way up to 5, you know, and that's it. I'm not going to, the only time I'm going to shoot 10 rounds is in a heavy gun match. I don't just go around blasting a whole bunch of rounds through my barrels for no particular reason. You can see everything you want with 2 shots and a full powder range. I get to see the whole thing. I'm not just grabbing random numbers out of here and, oh, Joe Blow said it shoots really good at 2950, you know, and you grab this powder and, or this powder or this powder, or, you know, or this one at 2950, it doesn't look very good at all, but somebody said it did, so that's what you're going to try. So, you know, that's why I caution you, don't listen. Just go out and do your own testing, see what your barrel, your powder, your cases, you know, your primers, everything is yours. So it's all going to be what works for you, you know. I don't know, other guys shoot different length of barrels than what I shoot. So, it all matters on the target, everything. That's why just test for yourself. I don't know how many guys have told me something and I've tested for myself and found out it's something completely different. So I hate to sit and bash anybody or anything, but this is the way I do things. You know, it's I really caution you against shooting a whole bunch of rounds. Now, that being said, if you're going to do this like I'm doing, you've got to be stable. You've got to have a good rest. You've got to have good tracking on your gun. You've got to have good bench manners towards you're going to get an accurate test. You know, you can't just to be out there freehanding it trying to do this test. It isn't going to work. You need to be stable and get your shots off fairly quick. You know, in a match, I'm shooting to get 5 shots off in 10 seconds. Well, in this, with a bigger caliber and a bigger, you know, recoil and everything, it's taken me a little longer. It's taken me, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds in between shots. Initially here, I have to practice with this caliber and adjust my rest to get it towards it's coming back straight and true each time, and maybe I can speed that up, but you need to get clean shots off. And so if it's taking you a little longer to get your clean shots off, then you're going to have to do this when there isn't that much wind blowing. So, you know, you figure 5 or 10 seconds it's taken me to get these shots off. The wind's pretty light today, everything's pretty stable, and I think I can pretty much trust what I'm seeing here. I mean, if I had something really out of the ordinary, kind of like this one, these are all about the same, and all of a sudden I get this random that's looking good, and then it's not really changing a whole lot after that. I'm kind of thinking, well, I don't know if I can trust that a whole lot, but it might be worth exploring more. You never know. I mean, this doesn't look too bad, and it's not, these are all on the same plane, whereas this one's still down just a little bit, so who knows? I don't know. It might be okay there. I might be able to use the tuner and tune that in, or some seating depth or neck tension. But I think for F-class, I've seen, and the way guys are shooting F-class, I don't think the load is near as important as bench rest. You know, that being said, you want to make it as good as you can. But if you have a whole bunch of 48-31 and you want to grab, you know, a load in here and use your tuner to get it in, I think you're going to be every bit as competitive with everything else here, because it's more of a win game than it is a group game. But in bench rest, I'm wanting stable, tight, really consistent, so they'll just hum right in there. So if I load it anywhere in this plane here, it's really tight. That's what I'm loving for bench rest. Something that's really stable across the board, and I can pick right in the middle of there, and I know it's not going to blow up on either side. If temperature heats up, it's not going to blow up. You know, a perfect blow up situation would be, look at this one right here on the very top. It's coming right in, it's tight as can be, and then all of a sudden the next two, it's just jumping up big. So this is at 300 yards. If it's jumping up that big, just imagine what it's going to do at 1,000 yards. It's going to it's going to be way too big for me. So so the next test I'll be doing will be out at 600. That's as far of a range as I got around here that I can go to. It takes me a couple hours to get out there. So I always want to do all this stuff at 300 yards to make sure I'm get as much testing in without driving all over creation, running 2 hours each way just to get to the range. But my final load development will be out at 600, so I'll have to wait for the next calm day and after I've reloaded all this stuff, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm really liking the looks of this. It's just really looking stable, really looking nice. I like these velocities over here. Boy, if this looked a little more stable, I don't quite get why they're hopping up and down. I've had powders do that before, and I've kind of stayed away from them. But they all look nice and tight, but they're jumping up and down. Kind of scares me a little bit there. I don't know why it's doing that. Boy, there's a lot more velocity out of that powder, though. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, that's a hot one, so don't know how well that would stay together. But I guess that's about all I got for this one. Initial powder test for the 7PRCW, and so it's looking good. The barrel's looking sweet. Everything's looking good. It's all coming in nice and tight. And so now I can move on to seating depth, neck tension, and tuner test, and see if I can't get these as tight as I can out there at 600 yards, and I can compare them to other things I'm shooting. So my tried and true 600-yard gun is a 6BRA. That's what I've been winning, but heck, if this thing will outshoot it, I'll shoot this one. You know, there's no rule says I can't shoot this one rather than that one, but we got to see it actually perform and shoot better than that one first. But so far it's looking really good, but I think it's going to hold up at 1,000 really good. And that's what my 284 did. It held up at a further distance than my 6. My 6 seems to give up somewhere about 800 yards and doesn't hold as well all the way to 1,000. But that 284 sure hung in there with these velocities and the same bullet. I'm guessing it's going to hold in there real well. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. So that's enough for this one. A lot of yapping, but that's what I've got.